just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about, same as usual.
Awesome.
All right.
2, 1. Taking care of attackers incoming. Escort the payload.
Try to keep yourselves in one piece.
I'm out of here.
Regen burst activated. Get in here. Get inside.
Yeah, pretty decent. Was last time was screen shake something that we had addressed?
Yep, you did.
Yeah, so I was still noticing that as we're going through here. Just I mean, like, cause it's not even something that cause I do coaching with a lot of people, right? So I don't remember every single thing that that everybody does, and sometimes that even helps because then you get to see, like, I get to come in kind of clean slate and look at it without even knowing, like, what we had gone over previously. So in any case here, like, I'm still noticing screen shake where, like, it still looks like very, very shaky and, like, in how we're actually just moving around. So I think last time we went over, like, just intentionally trying to smooth out our aim and lowering sensitivities. Did you ever end up lowering any of your sensitivities, or?
No, I've still got it the same. I can lower it a little bit and try to see if I get more comfortable. I just feel like
Yeah.
I lose a lot of versatility when I lower it,
Versatility in what sense?
like the ability to turn around.
Okay. Do you have a large mouse pad?
I do, yeah.
You do? Okay. So whenever you lower your sensitivity, so what is your sensitivity currently at?
800 DPI, and then I think
Mhm.
it's 7 in game or 6.
Okay.
I think I lowered it to 6 in game.
So that's actually not, like, too terrible. I'd probably say that's like, yeah, that's honestly like a pretty low sensitivity. So I don't think it's very high. So I don't think lowering your sensitivity is necessarily the problem. It's more so just making sure that we are, keeping our aim smooth and not, like, going frantically shaking it around. Do you what quality of mouse do you have? Is your mouse like, well, I guess, do you have a brand that with your mouse? Like, what mouse do you
Got
have?
the Razer Death Adder.
Okay. So that's a pretty decent mouse. So that actually I had that in the past. So I don't think it's the mouse's problem. So to me it
Dude,
just
it's just me. It's just me
yeah, it
being
just sounds
nervous
like
and
it's you.
trying to look around. So I know last time we talked about paying attention to the health bars, and that's like one of the things that I've been trying to improve on, but
Yep.
I struggle in the sense where, like, so when there's like a big crowd of, like
Yep.
there's like, 5 versus 5 and everybody's in there, I'm like looking at health bars and I'm like, okay, like I know somebody's health is gonna get low, and I know you said don't overheal. So I'll try to wait for, their health to start dropping. But then sometimes by the time I notice like one bar more than the others, I feel like I've like waited too long. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
is there some instances where like preemptively healing is going to be okay? You know what I mean? Because I know not over like we pointed out last time, my overhealing was like fucking ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've tried to cut down on that and try to start shooting more. But there is sometimes like those huge group fights of shit. You know what I mean? Like this guy's now low because my dumbass is. You know what I mean? Like trying to pay attention to too much.
Yeah, so I don't think usually there's gonna be too much of a use for preemptive. So preemptive healing realistically only comes when you know for sure somebody's about to be taking damage. So think, for example, your entire team's in a grav, right? That'd be a
Yeah.
situation where you know your team's gonna be taking a bunch of damage, so you might shoot into them, or somebody shattered, or you have a Far who's barraging, or a McCree who's high nooning, right? Like, these people are going to be taking a bunch of damage, so you can preemptively go for healing in those instances, but not necessarily in just like everyday instances. One thing to keep in mind that might help you go for healing just, I guess, a little bit faster is just watching for character, like, when they're critical and when they're green and when they're yellow and whatnot. So, like, through walls, if you haven't noticed this already, but part of the game is through walls you can see that, like, certain colors of people. So you can see here, for example, on the Sombra, right? Like, the Sombra through the wall over in front of us is currently green through the wall, right? And right there, she's green through the wall. And that means that she's full HP. So if you're to look at her health bar right now, she's full HP on the top right. But in a moment here, she's about to take damage, and now she's yellow because she just
Okay.
is down half
That is
HP.
awesome.
hmm
I did not know that at
Yep.
all.
Yep, and then she's gonna go down to red if she gets super low. We'll try to keep our eye out for that. So she's still currently yellow. Though it kind of like scales from green and then to red, I believe, when they're critical, and then also say they're critical, right? So here she's still green. Right, so that's a way that we can pay attention a bit better, right? So that'll be helpful. You see Hogs yellow, and but then Reinhardt. Oh, right there you can see it. But Reinhardt was a deeper shade of kind of almost red, right? So right here you see Roadhog versus Reinhardt, right? So Roadhog's yellow, Reinhardt's like deep orange, right? And then you can also see the criticals. So you have that's multiple different ways in which you can see. But then also it's just paying attention to health bars and make sure we're not shaking our screen, which will make it easier to pay attention to health bars, right? So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. Let's skip back a little bit so we can look at what's going on. All right. Here, I see no reason why we probably shouldn't just be up on a high ground tier. This will just give us better visibility to be able to hit shots from, and then also on top of that, just better angles and high ground survivability. So, just jumping up the high ground real quick might be a good idea. Alright, like even right here, might want to just hop right up here where we can heal our whole team up, peek the enemy team if we need to, be able to have really great angles, like have downward angles are really great for your projectiles because it means that they're not just sailing past the person. So that's just all
Yeah,
different things to
I
consider there.
do. I have done a fair bit of sailing past the
Yep.
person. After taking a week off, I am definitely not as
Out in the front
accurate as I was like a week. It's crazy how quick
Yeah.
that happens too.
Yep.
I remember when I was a kid and I played Counter-Strike Source every day. I miss those days.
Right. Here on us, like right to our left, and maybe we could be shooting at her at the moment. Like, I mean, but that's honestly fine if we don't. She just kind of ran through our team out in the open.
Regen burst activated.
There we saw critical teammates, right? So here we see health bars of teammates, right? Like, so first off, we can see teammates through walls. So like, just remembering that we can see teammates through walls, right? So Reinhardt's both teammates are decently low at the moment. They're in a decent bit of damage. We can't really see them for heals. Reinhardt's critical and purple. So at the moment, what should we probably be doing?
Land.
Throwing in immortality, right?
Regen burst
So
activated.
instead of doing that, we actually like back up away from them and we fall down below and we miss the high ground, then we don't throw immortality. So we probably could have saved 2 lives there had we thrown our lamp. And then on top of that, we also maybe still have our ultimate we could be using here, right? Like the fight's still going on. It's a, or I guess at the moment, never mind, it's only 3 of them, but so it's a 1, 2,
Yeah,
3,
I
4
know.
versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So we're,
That was one of the things
mhm,
you talked about last time
yeah.
was use the ult at the beginning of a fight. And
Mhm,
I've been trying to do it, but then there is sometimes where it is, you know what I mean? Like we've got people that are stuck and like that, I definitely missed that high ground, which totally screwed me up. And then I was like,
mhm,
okay, like I just, lost this for single-handedly.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's some situations with the ult where I'm like, man, like should I put it down now
Mhm,
without the whole team here, or should I just hold it? And then I feel like
yeah.
sometimes I'm holding it too long.
Yeah, so it really depends upon the situation, right? So here, when you feel like it could end up getting lost, so like as of the moment, right? It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus 1, 2, 3, but they are also have your team like pinned down. So how this probably would work out is we should probably go for the immortality, and if we land the immortality, we probably will need our ultimate, right? Because then we're gonna have the team advantage. We're gonna keep our teammates alive. If our teammates end up dying there, then it's a 3v3. That's where we should probably use our ultimate because now we're even again, right? So that's probably be how it would work out here. Is definitely should be landing a lamp, but if we had missed the lamp for whatever reason, or we just don't throw it, then we go for the
Regen
for
burst
our ultimate, right,
activated.
our window. So there we
Well, I
let them die.
definitely, yeah.
Hmm?
Even if I did land the lamp in this situation, I wouldn't have had laid the ultimate down too. So that's really good advice.
Hmm? So then we're down 1, but we're still not really looking for our ult here. And then now they're even down another player. So probably should be looking for ults, any moment now, right? Really, realistically. And we could have plopped it down on the left, or we could have plopped it down with the Roadhog on the right. And then now notice, like, how now the fight's, like, back in full force, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then almost 6. So currently, the fight's happening again, and now so basically this is almost if the fight never really ended, but I'd say this is almost 2 separate fights, right? Because you had the first fight, the second fight kind of like dragged on, and then this is now a kind of the second fight now that started because all the players came back, right? So in this situation, we just held on to our ultimate basically for a whole fight. And then now hopefully we should be using it at the start of the second fight. That's a good immortality. Though, okay, so let's see. Good timing with your immortality. Let's see if there's anything we could have done better. Okay, so here, soldier shooting at us. Probably best thing to do would be to get around the corner, right? Like, we can't run this way because their team's there. Can't run this way, no cover. Can't run that way, right? So running backwards is probably the play to make. It take us like 2 seconds to get behind the corner. Then with the immortality, we can just basically place immortality like right at our feet. That would just put it up here, make it hard for the people inside to see it and shoot at it, and then that would help hog out and help us and Mercy as we back up. But here, let's see what we do. So we kind of like stand still. We walk forwards. Here we're not attempting to back up towards cover, and then we move and we get whacked out into the open. So there we kind of, instead of backing up, we kind of stayed where they were able to shoot at us. So we just kind of overstayed our welcome in open area. In an open area, we were being shot at by an ultimate, right?
I need to do a better job of getting behind cover in some
Yep.
places that I'm not comfortable with, because one of the things I've noticed is I'm always afraid like the
You cut out. Hello? Hello?
have as like a Reaper or something will like flank and then just fuck me up and annihilate me, and then I'm like, oh okay. So I think that like has altered my playing
By the way,
style where I'm being
you cut
scared
out.
now.
You cut out for like a solid like 10 seconds there.
Oh, sorry.
Fine.
I keep like getting flanked at like weird times, or like that high ground. Like I won't take it because like I've been flanked there, so then I get scared and I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna go up there. I'll just play down here where I'm safe by my team. So I think that's something I could definitely improve on, is
Yeah.
sneaking around.
Yeah, so if you're on a high ground, it's really making sure paying attention so that we don't get flanked, right? Like, so watching for the flankers and listening for the flankers, so we don't get flanked, right? Because obviously, you're gonna be in danger anywhere you're positioned, right? You're gonna be just on a high ground. You have the same risk of someone coming up and getting on top of you as you do on a low ground. So we just want to make sure paying attention to our surroundings in that case. But yeah, just using cover here. And then also still using our ultimate, right, is still an issue. Now we are winning this fight now, so the ultimate should not be needed. But now this is fight number 2 that we haven't used it. 1, 2, 3 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now this is one fight.
Let them out.
Uh-oh. Alright, not paying attention to the flow of the fight. Alright, because yes, they grabbed, but what are they gonna do into the grab, right? It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus a 1, 2, right? So this is very, very, very heavily won. If anything, we would just need an immortality field if somebody gets low, right? That's it. So or sorry, we don't have immortality. We don't have immortality, but that would be if anything. Now, ultimate definitely is not needed here, right?
I think I need a lot of improvement on paying attention to the flow of the
Yeah.
fight.
So aware, a lot of improvement on awareness and paying attention to what's happening, right?
Payload's moving.
Oh, so we died there. What were maybe some of the reasons why we died? Or what was the reason why we died?
Not paying attention.
Not paying attention to... What were we not paying attention to?
Everyone in general. Focusing on that Mercy too much and not looking at my surroundings.
Yeah, so not paying attention to what's going on around you. Yeah, that could be it, right? Like maybe paying attention to health bar. But, maybe another thing would be we have immortality and self-heals that we didn't use, right? Would be a big one. So then on top of that, maybe we could have taken, I don't think a high ground in this scenario would be a good idea. So I mean, like, using cover more, maybe, right? Just a little bit of a mix of everything. So here we just, not paying attention to the fact that we're taking damage. We don't really take any steps to negate that said damage, right?
Maintain that.
We don't use cover. We don't, use self-healing. We don't use immortality, and then therefore we die.
How about a little extra?
Okay. Something I have noticed, so far we're doing a lot better with overhealing. I think, like you said, that was like something that was a very, very massive thing last time. But so far we've done pretty solid with it. There's been a couple times in which you've been overhealing, like something like that. But it's nothing that's happening all the time here.
I think there's sometimes that I'm still overhealing, and then there's sometimes that I'm trying to shoot when I should be healing. So I just need to play more and start getting that more ironed
Fully
out.
healed.
And
Yeah.
then I have one question. Okay,
Yeah.
so Farah's right now for like
Mhm.
any rank that I'm playing at, they are just like fucking steamrolling, like every team that I'm on. What do
Mhm.
I do as a healer when something like that happens? You know what I mean? Like our team just like the enemy switches to Farah, our team loses like all momentum, and the
Mhm.
Farah just like starts running through the entire team, and it's pretty obvious that's like the one character that's making
Mhm.
the difference for them.
Okay. Baptiste can shoot her, yeah?
Yeah.
So you shoot her.
Okay, that's what I'll try. I didn't
Yeah.
know if that was like,
Mhm.
there's people that need to be healed, and then I'm shooting Farah, and then the team's like, oh, you're fucking shooting the Farah instead of healing me, you
Yeah, well,
asshole. I
it
hate
definitely
you.
it definitely depends. Like you shouldn't be shooting. It's the same thing applies. You shouldn't be shooting at far if people are in need of healing, right? But you shoot at far when
Yeah,
people aren't in need of healing, right? You make maybe that your number one target if she's if she's someone you can contest as Baptiste, right? You
yeah,
can poke at her. You might not be able to solo kill her a ton, but you will definitely be able to put pressure on her. And when you put pressure on her, it forces her to back up and give up space, and you can definitely kill her as a Baptiste, right? So yeah, I'd definitely say shoot at the Pharah. As a Pharah player, like any amount of whenever you have any characters just looking at you and contesting you, then it makes it harder to do your job, right? Like the more people you have, right? Because you have specific characters that can contest you, but then you also just have a bunch of people, characters like who can kind of tickle you, right? Like the team that you currently have, right? Like against their Pharah, you don't really have anything that can directly, right? Like you don't have any hit scans that are going to be able to directly contest Pharah, but Baptiste, Hog, Sombra, and Hanzo can all tickle her, right? They can all like contest her. In which case, it would make it so the Pharah is not able to just have complete full reign, right?
yeah. That's what I need to try to start doing. The flanking Farah is something that I'm struggling with right now. They pop up out of nowhere and then just annihilate me.
hmm Okay, so like something like that. So
60
you know,
seconds
turn
remaining.
up our audio a little bit. First off, we hear her, right? So we can hear her flying around. But we also see her shoot rockets at us. Oh,
Fully
Yeah, dude,
healed.
that's very
I
loud.
need to do a lot better job of noticing stuff like that, noticing the rockets and then noticing
Yep.
the sounds, because
Yep.
I've like noticed like I'm so into it when I hear the sounds, I'm like,
hmm
oh, I don't even know what the hell is going on.
Yep. hmm Because here we hear, first off, we know there's a Pharah, so we want to just when it comes to visual awareness, right? We don't want to just be walking around and just looking in a straight line, slow panning to the side when we're walking around. Instead, we want to be looking, we look left, look right, do a 360. We want to pay attention to high ground, so we want to make sure that when they have a Pharah, we're looking up in the sky, right? Here we don't look up in the sky at all. We're just kind of like on our plane. We're never
Oh yeah,
looking
you're
up
right.
at all, right?
I don't ever look at
Mm-hmm.
if there's a far I
Yep.
try to sometimes, but not like how you just said. I definitely don't do that. Need to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, so we're not looking around us. So here we know they're on a Farah, and we haven't seen Farah die yet. So we should be thinking in our heads, oh, like, hey, they still have a Farah. Where's she at, right? And then we can hear her. Okay, she's shooting rockets, right?
60
Okay, let's
seconds
see.
remaining.
Rocket hits us directly, right? When the rocket hits us directly, okay, that's another cue. There's a Farah around us somewhere. Farah's looking at us. Farah's somewhere. We don't see on our screen. Where's she at? Okay, well if we look at our crosshair, right above our crosshair, we see the damage indicator. That shows us that damage is coming from either in front of us or above us, right? If we don't see anybody in front of us, then it means it's coming from above us, right? We also are going to see, why is it, okay, it doesn't show, for some reason it
Fully
doesn't,
healed.
sometimes it does this, it doesn't show it on ahead of us. One moment.
60
So,
seconds remaining.
okay. When we take damage, where's the red damage indicators coming from?
The top.
The top, so, or the front, right? If no one's in front of us, then it's coming from above us, right? So,
Yeah.
all indications that there's a Farah above us currently, and where's Farah at? Well, Farah is above us somewhere. Where is she at? The heck? Where's Farah? Oh, Farah's, never mind. She's in front of us there. She's just hiding behind everybody. So there, Farah is in fact in front of us, not above us. So you can see that it's above, in front or above, right? There. Let's see. If we go back a little bit, you can probably actually see the rockets coming in.
Fully healed.
I'm actually turning the volume down a little bit. That's annoyingly loud. So here you can see the rockets coming in from the
60
front of you.
seconds
So you can
remaining.
just see it come in from a little bit, right? Okay, we can also hear Far just use boosters, right? So that means that she just is top right now. So that's audio awareness, right? And then just looking around us, and then we heard her just fire a rocket to our right or from behind us, right? And then she, using justice from above, and maybe we have a second where we can throw down immortality. If you throw down immortality, that can keep us alive, maybe, right? So it's just being aware of the fact that she's there, right? Paying attention to the fact that they're on a Farah, right? This is part of team comp dictates play style, right? Team comp, what they're on dictates how we're playing the game, right? When they're on a Farah, we're gonna be playing differently from when they're on a Widowmaker, right? Who's going to be getting on top of us more often, Farah or Widowmaker?
Wait, say that one more time.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
who's going to be getting on top of us, Farah or Widowmaker?
Farah.
Okay, who is going to be cutting off lines of sight, right, and being kind of shooting, sorry, I don't even know if I need to ask that, but Widowmakers, how you play up against a Pharah is gonna be different than how you play up against a Widowmaker, right? Widowmaker, you have to be more careful of how you're being on the open and using cover more often and watching your line of sight on her, right? Pharah, you're gonna need to watch out, listen for her, watch her for her in the sky, watch for her barrages, watch for her to be trying to get right in on top of you, right? So, and we can also look to contest her a bit more. So, we play differently when we're up against different characters, so pay attention to what character she's on, make sure we're looking around for her and we're not just, ignoring her, right?
Regen up.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
That's the best you can do. Get behind. Regen burst activated. Won't hold forever. Let them up.
All right. Probably place it a little further forwards, right? Like I think maybe we were trying to, but we just didn't get the placement right. Let's see.
Regen
I
burst
think we were
activated.
maybe trying to. Keep
I
in mind,
think I think I I think I wanted it there. I think you're giving me too much credit.
yeah. So I mean, we started out far and then we brought it closer. So here, probably go further out with it because, like, why would you say maybe go a little bit further forwards with it?
Because that payload's gonna go right into it and block half of it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one big part of it is the payload's blocking half of it. Right. The second thing is that it may be like if we're putting it a little farther forwards, it gives our team, allows our team to push forwards with it. So here, for our team to shoot through this, right? So for Hanzo and Reinhardt and us to shoot through this, right? Which we're gonna want to shoot through it. We have to sit super far away from the enemy team, right? Um, are we gonna be doing very accurate or effective damage from super far away from their team?
No.
No, so we might want to get a little bit closer because the closer we get, the more the easier we're gonna be able to land our shots, and the more accurate we're gonna be, and the more damage we're going to have because we're not gonna have fall off damage, right? So we probably should be putting it closer so that we can actually have more effective damage through it, right? So they're just a little too close to us, right? Okay, use your leap to go and get the far if you just saw her there and she's by herself. Like here we see that she's by herself. We don't see a Mercy with her. Right, like here she's just flying through the open on her own. Mercy's dead. Far, we can see Far flying there, and then she's up right there by herself. Just leap up real quick, shoot at her. Right, there's
Yeah, go
nothing
get her.
stopping us from doing that.
Protect the payload.
Yeah, I probably should have had ran a little faster there too.
Yeah, we're not. Whenever you know that you can't kill Bob, you ignore Bob, right? You just get out, you run away, right? Here it's we as Baptiste are not going to be able to single-handedly kill Bob, so we run away,
Dude,
right?
I need to take your advice there because there's plenty of times I'm like, man, I'm gonna take down Bob by myself, and I've never done it, but for some odd reason in my mind, no matter how, it's like Einstein's definition of insanity. Every time I'm like, dude, Bob, you are fucked today, and then I go in there and just get absolutely annihilated by Bob.
Yep.
That's like times 576 that Bob has.
Yep.
beat me. I haven't beat Bob.
All better. Now.
I like that taking up high ground. That's a good idea. Probably, yeah, good immortality, though a little far forwards with it, right? Where
I
would
think
be?
I need to work. Yeah, I think I need to work on taking high ground more often because I know last time you had showed me like the difference in the timing for the distance of projectiles.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to work on that and I tried to stay really close to my team. And I know
Yep.
last time you discussed like different qualities of high ground and good
Yeah.
cover. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's just I need to explore more and like do some better finding of high ground. It's
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean. I think it's gonna
Yeah.
take some time to iron out. That's why I figured I'd keep doing more sessions with you because I don't
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean. Obviously, like it's definitely helping me and my play is improving. I'm not too
Yep.
worried about the SR. Like if the SR goes down, it goes down. But you know what I mean? As long as I'm
Mm-hmm.
working on the things that you're telling me and those are getting better, then I feel, you know, like at least my overhealings, like there's some good takeaways, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I just think it's gonna take a long time because definitely, you know what I mean? This
Yeah.
is apparently just like, you know, rocket science for me.
Yep. So, also keeping in mind, high grounds are pretty great. Like, there's a lot of other valuable. Like, probably said last time, right? Like that you want to be close to your team, but then high grounds you can't unless you're on a high ground because a high ground gives you other advantages such as survivability, visibility, cover usage, right? And then on top of that, you also will notice that it also gives us really great angles for lamps and our healing, right? Because if we're sitting back here, right, and we try to throw healing at Reinhardt, right, we don't really have the best angle to do so because it's a very thin kind of strip that we have. So that means that if we are trying to throw it, it could very easily just go sailing past him, and it's pretty more difficult to actually put it where we're trying to go. Whereas if we're throwing this from above, well, healing now becomes very easy because we have a downwards angle, which inherently is going to be better for landing our projectiles and immortality and and whatnot. So if we're on even footing with someone, especially if you're further away from them, it can be more difficult than being on a high ground where it can be pretty easy to place it. So that's another advantage the high ground gives you is just easier access or ease of healing and of immortality, especially in comparison to if you have like a downwards angle, like if you were below people, like for example, if you have teammates up on a high ground and you're trying to heal them, right? You definitely want a downwards angle, right? One thing I don't know if we talked about at all, but you want to be aiming for people's feet instead of their body because if we were to aim at Hanzo's body and we miss, it goes sailing
Okay,
past
yeah,
him,
that is.
right?
Let me write that
Yep.
down. So with the new
Mm-hmm.
update where it said like, you know, you get the increased healing
Mm-hmm.
percentage if you hit the person directly,
Yep.
I've definitely been trying to do that. And I think I've got like some negative comments that have got to my head with some games where people are like, oh my God, I'm right in front of you and you can't hit me. And I'm like,
Yep.
yo, I'll show you where I can hit you from, dog. Um, I definitely need to aim for the feet for
Yeah,
sure.
and so and keep on, I'm not saying aim at the ground, right? Because there's a difference.
Yeah.
Aiming at their feet means that you are still getting a direct shot in, right? Because if you
Yeah.
aim at their feet, you're still aiming for the direct. It just means that if you are to miss a direct, you're still getting the splash, right?
Yeah. No,
Mm-hmm.
that is an awesome point, dude.
Yep. So if instead of it sailing past them, same thing with immortality, right? You're not you're trying if it goes sailing if you're aiming like straight forwards, you want to aim at the floor, right? Not straight forward. So that's why if you're below someone, it's going to be very very difficult because they're just sitting above you and you have to hit them directly. Whereas if we were to like use a leap and leap upwards, well now we have a better angle in which we can hit their feet and the ground rather than trying to hit them directly right from below, right? So high ground's great. Now here with our immortality, where's maybe somewhere where we could have placed it better?
Right behind that pillar. I
Hmm.
should have done that. Yeah.
Exactly, right? Because then it just stays alive much longer. Because they're gonna probably end up destroying it. Actually, they don't leave it up for a
Yeah.
little while, but it ends up going down. It doesn't stay up its full duration.
Yeah, I definitely need to get some more playtime in because I've been doing some super sloppy stuff.
Yeah.
Let me show you how.
And then I do have one more question.
Yep.
So like I understand I can't play Baptiste like 110% of the time. If I do need a change, when is like a time that I need to recognize like okay, like I'm not being a efficient healer as Baptiste, and if I am changing from Baptiste, what is the other healer that I should be switching to? Because I could play Mercy or Anna. and that's like about it for me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think like I feel like if I were to switch to Mercy, which I'm not going to do, like I like Baptiste and
Mhm.
I want to improve, I'm not going to be
Yeah.
like, oh, I can climb the SR with Mercy.
Mhm.
Like I can play Mercy good and I can play Anna somewhat okay. But I should
Okay.
probably do some sessions with you with another hero
Okay.
too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so times in which you would swap, right? So first off, like I probably say, like especially if you're trying to prioritize Baptiste, I would stick with Baptiste as much as possible. But times where you would swap are if in probably say let's think two scenarios, right? Based off of team composition and based off of if you just so you'd either swap if the team comp would fit better with a different character, or like Baptiste is really bad in your team comp, and then the other time is if like you just are not
What
feeling
what
Baptiste. Mhm.
what team comps like is Baptiste?
Yeah,
I truthfully don't know.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna go into that. Yeah, yeah. So and then Baptiste, and then the other time would be like if you just aren't feeling Baptiste and you want to swap because you're just doing terrible, and that's maybe another time. But yeah, team comps. Have we talked about all the different team comps in the game yet?
Nope. I
No.
honestly I
Okay.
have no idea too. Like
Okay.
I've watched like a lot of like ML7 videos and I
Mm.
watch him on Twitch just because I like that guy and I think
Yep.
his accent is super cool. So like I watch him a lot and I know he plays Baptiste and Anna good. So obviously
Yep.
I was like, oh, like when I first started I was playing Wrecking Ball all the time.
Mm.
And dude, I sucked. It was awful.
Yeah.
But I had so much fun. I was like, oh, this is so cool. You know what I mean? I'm the hamster
Mhm.
ball. So I started playing Baptiste and Anna a lot in, quick play and I do phenomenal with them there. And then I go
Yeah.
to comp and it's a different beast.
Mhm.
So like Anna, I think I can get by, you know what I mean, and play decently.
Yep.
But I'd definitely like to do a session with you on Anna so you can.
Yeah.
There's probably way more on Anna that I need to improve on than Baptiste. I think she's a little bit more complex, man.
Yeah.
But I know like with Winston, Anna's good just by watching those ML7 videos and hearing him, say that Anna's like the best healer for her. But when it comes to team comps, literally like the only knowledge I have, I played for like 2 months, and that's like about it. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
haven't looked into team comps, haven't read that much, and that's about it.
Yeah, so let me give you a quick breakdown. So I sent you a picture over on Discord if you'd like to go take a look. And it's just a rough chart over the different team comps in the game. So the different team compositions in the game are dive, brawl, and spam. And then hybrid is really anytime you just have a mix of them and you're not really running anything in particular. Hybrid, you're not really running any particular play style, so you're just playing very deathmatchy, not really doing anything in particular, right? So a dive composition, if you're are you familiar with what any of the three are, like and what characters make them up?
So I would assume dive is like Winston and Diva. Brawl is
Mhm.
probably Reinhardt. I don't know who else.
Mhm.
And spam probably Arissa and Wrecking
Mhm.
Ball.
Yeah, so I'll walk you through a couple of them. So dive is a bunch of fast-moving targets who can get on top of you very easily. So that's going to be Monkey, Diva, Ball, and then on top of that you can do like bunch of the DPS. You have Genji, Tracer, Pharah, Echo, Doomfist. Really, it's depends, right? Brawl is going to be your close ranged, big chunky comp where on that you're running Reinhardt, Zarya. You have, May, Reaper, Lucio, Moira type of deal. Ana works in a brawl. Right? I'm not going to give you every character that goes into both of them, but it's the rough what they are. Right? Spam is very far ranged characters, so that's going to be like Orisa, Sigma, Roadhog. You can maybe sometimes run a Wrecking Ball with that, but not usually. And then you can run snipers with that. You can run just a bunch of long range hit scan characters or spam. Lots of longer range characters, and then those are the three compositions, right? So those are what makes up for it. If you want like kind of the specifics of what characters go into what, like I can go into that as well if that'd be interesting to you. But for now, let's just go into how they play with each other. So um, a dive is very standard. So their play style is they start off far away and they dive in close to you, right? So they don't really have a particular range in which they play, right? They play at a slow pacing to start off, and then they get faster and faster as they get kills and as they get ultimates, right? Which is very standard. All compositions do that. Now, Brawl and Spam is where it gets very interesting. This is where it gets very, very important to know which one you're doing. So a spam composition, right? they are long range characters, so their preferred distance is far away, right? And because their preferred distance is far away, they like to take the pacing of the fight very slowly, because the slower the fight goes, the more time they have to spam out damage, right? That, by the definition of the word, they want to output as much damage as possible, because if they can shoot further away than you, then they can output more damage than you from further away, right? So the close range characters can't shoot you if you're just sitting really far away. So you get, for example, think like, I don't know, like a McCree versus a Reaper, right? If the McCree just stays out of range of the Reaper, then McCree has the advantage, right? McCree's going to win. So they prefer the fight to be going far and slow. Brawl, on the other hand, is the complete opposite, right? Brawl likes to play close, right? Because they're close range characters, and then therefore they like to play fast because they can't play at that far range. Reaper can't play far away from the McCree, so he needs to go in fast and get on top of the McCree, right? Or else he loses. So that's the difference between the two: is fast and close versus far and slow, right? And then hybrid, just to clarify, is like anytime you have 4 or more characters of a composition, you're running that composition, right? So if you have 4 brawl characters, you're on a brawl. But if you have 3 brawl characters and 2 spam characters, and I don't know, and then a dive character, you're not really running anything in particular. You might just be on a hybrid, right? So you might be running a brawly hybrid, but it's mostly a hybrid, right? So that's just how that works out. So does that all kind of make sense?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so how your characters work into that. So Baptiste is prefers, right? He is best with a spam, right? Because he works really good at ranges. He has immortality that keeps his team alive. His window works really well for spam, better for with a spam. So a
Yeah,
lot of his kit
definitely.
works really well with a spam comp. He works second best in a brawl. He works pretty solid on a brawl comp. Like he's really he's good in that, just maybe slightly worse than in a spam. And then he is absolutely garbage in a dive. He's very bad in a dive, right? Because how the heck are you going to heal a monkey or a wrecking ball who are all the way across the map? And how are you supposed to
Okay.
immortality them? And how are you supposed to? Because we already discussed this. With Baptiste, you're a close range character. You're trying to heal your team when they're close to you. But if your monkey's all the way across the map from you, you can't give him immortality. You can't give him heals. You can't give him your shift, right? So he's terrible with a dive, right? Now Ana,
Okay, so
go ahead.
let's say my team has like a wrecking ball and a
Yep.
Winston. And let's say the other healer is Anna. Then what do I do? Do I stay as Baptiste or do I switch to like, some
Um,
other healer?
yeah, I mean, you could go over to Mercy, because Mercy. So we can go over the other two real quick. But like, and where they fit into. But you could go over a Mercy and go to a Mercy in that situation, or you could stay Baptiste. Like honestly, like even if your character's bad in certain compositions, it honestly isn't gonna matter. If you know how to play the character, like character really only matters, like the characters you're picking only matter when you're talking about a very very high level of play, such as like
Like a
above
good
top
team that
500.
actually plays together
Yep.
and talks to each other.
Yeah, or if you're playing in a team environment, right? That's the only two times where team composition matters, right? And in any other case, you being on the wrong character is just a handicap. You can still overcome that handicap by getting good at them and knowing how to play your character into bad situations. So you could still theoretically run the Baptiste. It just depends on kind of what you're trying to do. Are you trying to be more flexible, or are you trying to just get so good at Baptiste that it doesn't matter, right? So
Well,
it's up to
I
you.
do want to get good at Baptiste, but like I just worry like what if I go into a game and then all of a sudden, boom, like somebody locks Baptiste
Mhm.
right away and they're like,
Yeah.
no, you can't have him,
Mhm.
shitbag. You're gonna play,
Yeah, so you
Brig.
want to be learn Baptiste but be semi flexible.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ana is best in, let's see, what is she best in? I'd probably say Ana is equally good in a dive and a brawl. Definitely, she is going to have a harder job in a dive, right? So it's going to be more difficult for her to find value. But she's also just much better than some of the other picks out there for dives. In general, dive is very very hard for supports, man. I hate dive as a composition, but dive is very hard for supports. So just it's going to be more difficult for you to get value in a dive, but at the
Yeah,
same time,
when I'm
yeah.
on dive teams, I think
Mhm,
that's when I literally die the most because
mhm.
like when Winston jumps in or something like that, I'm like behind and I'm like, oh, I'm
Yep.
going with him. And then I run into like the back line that's behind him, and they just mow me down. And I'm like, okay, like I don't know, what do I do? Like, do I let Winston dive in alone and just fucking die, or do I go
As
in there
what
with him
character?
and
As
die with him?
Baptiste?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't want to be running into their team because you're not a dive character as Baptiste. So you would try to
yeah,
support him from a range and get as close as possible without dying, right? So Ana
okay,
works equally best in dive and brawl, but and Ana's a pretty flexible character, so she is okay in a spam, but she's definitely not preferable in a spam. That's so I would definitely run like when it comes to the three, if you're going between the two, I would run Baptiste in a spam, Ana with a dive, and then Brawl. You could pretty much run whichever. Just up to you which one you want. And then the only time that I would really realistically matter is at super high levels of play or super high levels of team coordinate, team comp, right? So that's pretty much it, right? So that's how you differentiate between the three. Mercy um is a little bit of a mixture there. So Mercy is first off a spam character, so she works best in a spam. Secondly, a dive, and she works pretty good with a dive, and then she's terrible with brawl. She's pretty flexible, so I would say that she can work like it's kind of the same, a little bit less than the same boat as Ana. I probably say she's decently flexible, so she can work okay in a brawl. But I still would say that you're not gonna want to run with Mercy in a brawl. So that's when you would run each of the different characters. Another time I would Another time, and this one's up to you, that I would say like you might want to consider swapping, though it might be less of a impact than these, is if your other support, you're not a good combo with your other support. So most of the time when it comes to being on different characters, you want to have basically you want to have good support synergy. So that means that if you're on Baptiste, you probably don't want to have an Ana or a Moira, right? That's usually a good idea because you want both you basically want both the big burst healing and then also additional utility, right? So Baptiste would pair best with a Mercy because Mercy outputs res and can do other things, and then you want a Zenyatta, where Zenyatta can give you Discord Orb, or you might want a what was another option? Yeah, Lucio, right, who can speed you around.
yeah.
Whereas
So
Baptiste,
if I
yeah.
do like if I'm playing Baptiste and let's say the other healer does go like Ana
Mm,
or Mora, should
yeah.
then I change to Mercy or
That
something like that to
that's
get the
that's
best
like
team
that's
value?
what I was yeah like I was that's what I was telling you is like that one is that really up to you, and like it's not gonna go super terribly because the other team a lot of the time isn't going to be realistically caring about that too much. If you're trying to be as efficient as possible and not put yourselves at any disadvantages, then go for it and swap characters. But if you really don't care about like a slight disadvantage, then I wouldn't worry about it. Right. So that one's kind of up to you and which one you want to go for. You're going to like I said, like it's not ultimately going to be impossible to win those games until you get to a 4500 level of play. Right. That's the only time in which it's going to be impossible to win that if you're playing the wrong character.
Give it like a month, I'll be there. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So you ready to continue?
Yes. Sorry for all the
No,
questions.
no, no, all good.
Огонь по готовности!
Let me show you how it's done.
60 seconds remaining.
Let's keep it moving.
Yeah, make sure they took a like a 4 second pause where he didn't really do anything. So make sure we're shooting at stuff.
Got you good as new.
Yeah, I've been thinking too much, man.
No more thinking. Just go pew pew. I'm sure.
Going up. Let them out.
Rather than just walking around with your window looking for a good spot with it, sometimes you can just like walk around normal and be thinking in your head like so. Walk around, continue to shoot, continue to heal, and while at the same time thinking in your head where am I gonna place this window, right? And go, okay, this is a, and you would move forwards, you'd still be, you wouldn't have it open like this, but you'd move forwards, you'd still be looking around, and then you go, okay, that's a good spot, and then you'd pull it out and place it down, right? So instead of
Okay.
just walking around for like 4 or 5 seconds just with the window in your hands where you can't do
Yeah,
anything
losing a
else,
bunch of value.
yeah, so instead of doing that, you'd want to just walk around doing actual things while also looking for it and then place it down, right?
Horse and Crusaders! Let them out.
Right. On top of that, we have it curved slightly weirdly to where, like, we have it aiming this direction, whereas that means that, I guess that won't realistically make a big issue. So, that's not really a big problem at the moment, but, like, maybe, like, if we have it curved this way
Yeah,
more
try to turn a
to
little
this,
bit.
yeah, if we had it curved this way, well, now our team has more of an ability, because you can see the difference between, right, like, here, where, like, they can kind of go to the top right, and in the back right, where they can get out of our line of sight, whereas if we push it forwards like just a little bit, now you have more visibility to be able to shoot at people. So very, very minor thing with it.
Regen up.
I still have use for you.
Yeah, unfortunately, our team didn't seem to want to shoot through that, but thinking. So here, Reiner gets low. We're a little bit far back from him, so we want to be a little bit closer. But then at the same time here, we're a little bit delayed for throwing the immortality because we're not
Yeah.
paying attention to the health bar. He's purple. Both of them are low, and we throw it a little bit too late, right?
The payload
Get
is
in the immortality
its
field.
destination.
Okay. There we're kind of standing out in the open, right? Like just looking at our positioning from everyone's point of view, right? No cover anywhere. We're just very, very far in the open where they can shoot us super easily, right?
I need to get away from thinking if I jump that everybody's just gonna disappear. They're
Nope.
definitely still there when I
In
jump, yeah.
in fact, sometimes that makes it easier for people to kill you, right? That's it. Jumping, when it comes to jumping, um, jumping is like not something you want to do against hit scan characters because in fact, it makes it easier for them to kill you because when you are going up or when you jump, right? Just even normal jumping, even without a super boost, right? It's a very predictable animation. When you see someone jumping, you know they're gonna go up and then they're gonna come down. So it makes it very easy to be able to headshot them while they're doing so, and then therefore you can kill someone easier when they're jumping versus if they're just walking left. Like if you're just sitting down, you can walk left, right, you could crouch, you could do whatever, right? Whereas if you're jumping, it becomes predictable and you don't have
Yeah.
control of your movement. So therefore, it's the exact same thing, if not more extreme, when you're super leaping, and it puts you out in open space for a long period of time where they can shoot you super easily. So we don't want to be just jumping randomly up against long distance characters. Now, if they're on a dive composition or like a brawl comp, then jumping away from them can do a lot more because if they have a super close range comp, then they can't really get to you if you jump away from them. And if they're on a dive, you can just jump out of their dive, right? They dive you, you jump, you're gone, right? But like when they have a character like Ash who can snipe you for out of the air, and Zarya who can just track you, then jumping is not a good idea.
Yeah.
At the moment, notice we're playing on a slope. Probably not where we want to be playing because that just makes shots hard to land. So getting top right might be a better idea.
Push down on
30
me.
seconds.
Definitely good advice.
Push forward.
I play that slope a lot, and it never works out.
Yeah. We're throwing, yeah. We're being just in general mechanics needs work because we don't really get a ton of value out of whenever we left click. It's just kind of always spam damage because we don't hit headshots and we always hit like one shot and then miss the rest. So definitely
Yeah.
mechanics is something that needs work on. But you're gonna have to practice that. Just good place would be free for all, tryhard free for all. Just go in, practice your mechanics, try to keep your aim smooth because I'd say that's probably messing up a lot of your shooting.
Yeah.
Is how shaky it is. And just work on keeping your aim straight and hitting your shots and looking to hit headshots, right? Whereas we're not really getting a lot of value out of our mechanics.
I need to keep playing and working on it.
Огонь по готовности.
10 seconds.
Right. So I think it's unfortunate because we were forced to use it on the Reinhardt because Reinhardt got very low. Um, Yeah, and that's a kind of unfortunate. Maybe put the immortality slightly further back when you throw it, because here it's in front of a Reinhardt, which
Yeah, which
means,
is bad.
and then what does that mean if we put it behind a Reinhardt?
He can at least put his shield out and
Mm.
not get hit.
Yeah, right. And or like here, that's actually what he does is he walks in front of it. But there, we could just also place it back slightly further, make it harder to hit. But there, that's unfortunate that we got caught in that.
Ready.
Let's get a move on.
Don't get excited. I leave the high ground. I was gonna follow the hog. See, that's what I mean. I've just been thinking too much and doing dumb shit. I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
high ground? Nope. Screw the high ground.
Which that high ground,
Not that good.
not super great, because like it's not gonna give you. I'm trying to think. So that high ground is probably just gonna get you contested super easily. Like Hanzo can get up there instantly. Junkrat can get up there super easy. And then they can pretty much see you from up there. You're not gonna get like a ton of so that wouldn't up your survivability at all, which is mainly gonna be what you're using a high ground for. Like on Baptiste is the additional survivability. So that being on that high ground wouldn't do a ton for you. The only time you'd go up to high ground like this is if you wanted to like solo ult yourself to get a bunch of kills or something like that. But being on this high ground might be better because it's safer than that top right one.
Yeah, I think I have a long time to go before I'm solo ulting and getting a bunch of kills.
Okay, being aware, listening to Junkrat, watching for him. So here, we can hear the Junkrat, we hear him land, we hear him place a trap, right? If we're paying attention to these things, then maybe we don't end up getting trapped and killed, right? So paying attention to our
Yeah.
surroundings, right? Looking top right, paying attention.
Pick yourself up. Dust yourself.
No,
Come on.
delayed reaction
Mortality
there.
field down. Watch yourself. Reaching up. Enemy is here.
Hanzo just did some work.
Dein Schutzengel ist da.
Got you good as new. Regen burst activated.
My soul never dies.
Nice accidental kill, yay!
I don't know why I threw the lamp too. I really don't know. Even when I was playing this, I remember that I was like, why the fuck did I just do that? But in my mind, I was like, man, this needs it now.
Yeah.
Hold up. Get in the immortality field.
Yeah, shooting at the cart a little bit there. Trying to heal Mercy's full HP. Junkrat's still hiding behind us. Reinhardt's pretty much full HP there. And so doing some overhealing still. Not paying attention to Junkrat, who's like right next to us. Yeah, there you go. Finally look at him, but in that time he had killed McCree, so make sure we're paying attention to McCree. We did have our ultimate maybe we could have used.
And now
Are
I've
we
got
about to?
personal
Oh
experience
my
with it.
goodness. Okay.
Yeah, I
You guys
did it. Yeah.
You guys got very, very close to C9ing that. Alright, so we let Junkrat get away with 2 kills, right? When we had
Yeah.
immortality and heals, right? And we also, just by not paying attention to him, right?
My turn. Regen burst activated.
And use shift there, didn't really do anything.
Let them out.
That's decent, pretty decent timing with it, right? You're trying to create space for your team, though probably this part could be shifted this way, right? Instead of having it like inside the wall, we can have it over here, right, where more of our team can shoot through it. So very tiny thing with it, but very, very good ultimate. Besides that, with the timing,
I still have use for you.
I think we end up jumping a lot for no particular reason, right? Like we just kind of like here, like we just end up doing something like this, where like I guess. Maybe we're trying to get to the other side of cards so we can shoot at them, but like maybe we could have done a smaller jump.
I feel like it helps me see the other side a little more, and then sometimes I don't know why I'm like, man, like I need to jump right now. This has to happen.
Yeah. So I think we've just seen a bunch of times like where maybe it doesn't really do very much. Like here we land and then we jump, we back up for some reason, and then we jump up again, and then we jump again. right, and then that was a good jump. But I don't even know if that was on purpose or not.
Maybe
And
from the
then,
shatter.
yeah, and then we jump again and again. So, you know, and then again. So sometimes it doesn't seem like there's rhyme or reason to a lot of the jumps. It just kind of, we jump to jump, right? Which we just got to keep in mind, like, there are reasons why we do jump. We jump to block, you know, to dodge things. We jump to get to high ground. We jump to be able to see things. We jump to be able to land better abilities. You know, there's reasons why you do jump, though a lot of these jumps just kind of seem like we're jumping the jump, right?
Regen up. Get in here.
My servants.
Regen
Make sure
up.
we're not tossing our immortalities straight at people, right? Because then, you know, there it got lucky and bounced somewhere where we wanted it to, but
I remember you said toss it at the ground. I
yeah,
definitely
exactly.
did not toss it at the ground.
Yep. All right.
Dein Schutzengel ist da.
Realize I shouldn't be going in slightly late there, right?
Yeah.
Once you see it's just Reinhardt, that's where we back up. Or if it's just Reinhardt and somebody else, that's where we back up. Probably should be taking like top right high ground as of the moment.
You're
Yeah,
fully here.
probably be the play to do.
Yeah, I like to take that left high ground a lot, and I don't think it ever actually does anything for me.
Yeah, probably say top right would be better for you, right? Give you better angles. Like this top left high ground,
Yeah.
right? Look at the difference between the two. I don't know if we've talked about this at all with positioning, but when it comes to positioning, whenever you're healing, the enemy team should preferably not be able to see you, right? So
Yeah.
if we are positioned like right here, for example, right? I get it.
That's-
Or no, like on the high ground, right? And the enemy, if we're positioned right here, and the enemy team, and we're healing, then the enemy team can just shoot at us very easily. Whereas if we, what we would want to do is move around the corner and then heal our team, right? That way they can't see us while we're healing, and then when we want the damage, then we can peek, right? So
Okay.
here we are in a position in which we cannot do that. The enemy team just has pretty much like this high ground is not great because there's no real cover here, right? This high ground does not act as natural cover because there's not enough places. You can't back up far enough, really,
I
and
heard
they
you
can
said the quality of the high ground. That's
say
the
that.
bad
Yeah,
quality
so
of
this
high
is
ground.
so this is not a great quality of high ground. Now, if you are going to take this high ground, you'd want to be over here with the pillars, but definitely this top right is going to be much higher quality because you can still, you know, if you want to, you can leap up and just, you know, start shooting at people if you want to. But then once you need to heal, you can just completely put everybody out of your line of sight. You still have complete line of sight on your team. Tons of survivability up here. You can contest anybody who tries to come up if you want to. Right? It's just going to be a lot higher quality of a high ground, right? And it's also probably going to be closer to your team too, right? For the most part. Where like here, you know, already we're just taking a bunch of unnecessary damage, right? Okay. Noticing the Mercy slightly late, could have given her immortality. Junkrat's flanking, we just heard him go, right, and land. Oh, also, we're, just realized that we're like 2 minutes away from ending the session. And wow, how time flies. Okay. Quick strengths, or like, you know, main points of the session, because I didn't have time to think about any of that. So what are we working with? So we ability usage. Trying to think. We went over Baptiste the
Mechanics
whole
don't
time.
shake so much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
camera.
you
Yes.
said pay attention to surroundings and health,
Yeah.
work on taking high grounds, aim
Yes.
for the feet, better placement on ult, stop jumping so much, and enemy team shouldn't see you while healing.
Yep. So I could probably say in general, your awareness is the biggest issue, right? Biggest problem to work on. So focus on awareness first. Second, I would probably say, let's see, ultimates comes above abilities, mechanics definitely needs a bunch of work. Positioning, probably say that second. Oh, everything else is pretty close. Probably say second is gonna come in mechanics. Practice at shooting, not jittering. Continue to, you know, you're doing a lot better, but continue to try to stop overhealing. Knowing when to shoot versus heal, paying attention to people who need healing. Then besides that, probably say number 3 is gonna come in. Snap, these are all so close. Probably say number 3 is gonna come in at your Snap, dude. These okay. Everyone, just keep in mind everything here is very, very close together. Probably say that
Have you
next
considered
would
a different
come
line of work?
positioning and ultimate usage tied up, and then finally you would have ability usage at the very bottom, but it's still ability usage still needed work too. So everything's very, very close together. It's not a bad thing necessarily. So just keep in mind that I'll probably say besides the top of awareness, which is very high, all the rest are very, very close to being tied for like second place, right? So that I would just keep that in mind as you approach it. But that is pretty much it. Do you have any questions about anything we've talked about?
No, man, that's it. Thank you so much. And then next time, do you want to do a different hero?
Yeah. So let me stop the recording.